2012 is an election year. Will you be hitting the polls? Here to discuss the importance of voting is Andy Crouppen of Brown & Crouppen. Andy, always nice to see you, my friend.
You too.
I like it when I'm doing homework because you're coming over to the set and I got to get ready to talk to you. And I learned some stuff. And today was one of those days. I didn't realize that there were these laws on the books in Missouri and Illinois that we're going to talk about in a little bit. Let's first talk to the people who are registered to vote and use that age-old excuse, man, every time voting day comes around, I'm just busy. I got a busy day at work. I got the kids I got to pick up after school. What do you tell those people?
Ridiculous.
Okay.
These schedules are planned years in advance. You know long ahead of time when the elections are, and it's so important. You know, I think a lot of people get caught up in the presidential elections because it's so in your face. Although the truth is it probably has less impact on your daily life than voting in your local elections.
I'd agree with that.
You know, people say they're not interested in politics, you know, but when their sales tax increases, you know, while that's not politics, you know, that's how you make a difference in your community. So voting on the school board, voting on tax increases, it's very important to vote if you want to have any voice in what happens in your community.
Absolutely true. And if you're saying, I work a long day, there's just not an opportunity to get out there when the polls are open, my job doesn't allow me the flexibility, au contraire.
Ridiculous again. No, in the state, almost all states have these, in fact, probably every state has them. Some people think election days should be national holidays to make sure people don't have that excuse. However, what they do is in Missouri, they give you the employer has to give you 3 paid hours off of work, as long as you plan ahead and let them know ahead of time. 3 paid hours off to go and take the time to vote. You do have to show them proof that you voted if they want it. In Illinois, they give you 2 hours. I guess the polls are not as crowded in Illinois. They only give you 2 hours, and you don't have to show proof. But you have no excuse now. Take the time, go vote. It's important, regardless of political affiliation, regardless of whether you hate politics or love politics, it impacts you. And it's one of those things that even if you hate it and dread it, it impacts your life, and it's just one of these things you got to do, because otherwise it is going to impact you in ways that you don't want it to, and you're almost making a decision by not making a decision.
Well, this is how our government was founded in the first place. We're supposed to be at the helm, and this is how we state our opinion. Let's go to the other side of the spectrum, the non-registered voter. And again, learn something. 30 million Americans who are eligible to be registered voters aren't. That's like 1 in 10 of the entire population of the United States not registering for some reason.
Ridiculous.
I knew you were going to say
no, it's a shame that we have so many people who don't take the opportunity to exercise their right to vote. In the 2008 elections, which is the biggest election and most historic of my lifetime, and some say in many generations, in terms of the interest it generated, I believe 60% of the country voted. And that's a high watermark. You know, in the midterms in 2010, only 40%, less than half of the population voted. It's just, you know, you're getting to a point where it's not enough to really have a representative sample of the population of the country. And what you're doing is, by not voting, you're letting the people who do care, who may not have the same interests as you, decide how this country is going to be run.
That's it. Word of the day, ridiculous. Andy, thank you very much.
Vote.
And vote. Yeah, that too. If you don't, it's ridiculous. If you have a legal question for Andy or anybody over at Brown & Crouppen, you can email us at greatday@kmov.com.